Alright, imagine you got all the right ingredients, but it still ends up tasting eh. What's up, everybody? So this is my review of Jurassic World Rebirth, directed by Gareth Edwards, written by David Koepp, starring Scarlett Johansson and Mahershala Ali. And in this particular iteration of the 7th movie in the Jurassic World franchise, Scarlett Johansson's character leads a group of mercenaries onto a different dinosaur island to collect DNA samples for pharmaceutical companies to cure certain diseases. Now, on the surface of it, I dug the premise. It was nice and simple, and it kind of left room for some interesting philosophical questions that were asked in the first one, and not really too much in the others, maybe a dab here and there. And you kind of think that maybe this could be something, maybe not at the height of the Spielberg's Jurassic Park, but it actually could turn out to be something approaching that level. You know, they even brought back David Koepp, who wrote the original one. I'm a huge fan of Gareth Edwards. I mean, when I'm talking about like his work on Godzilla, The Creator, I know he was the first director to work on Rogue One, but I've been reading so many things about the behind the scenes shenanigans with Tony Gilroy coming in to do some reshoots. So it's hard to know like what belonged to him and what belonged to Tony Gilroy. But just those two movies alone, The Creator and Godzilla, especially The Creator, I'm a huge fan of that movie. I thought it was a great choice for a director. I would prefer if he kind of did his own thing. But I figured, all right, he's incredibly competent. He's got a great eye. Maybe he can do something that could surprise me and be really, really great. Not exactly. The movie, let's get the things that I really enjoyed about the movie out of the way. I really enjoyed the look of the movie. This movie looks amazing. There might be a part here and there that maybe the special effects wasn't as good as it possibly could be compared to some of the other sequences. But overall, it was stunning to look at. Some of the dinosaur sequences, like Gareth Edwards is great at scale. So finally, when you see the dinosaurs, you see how they look in proportion to, the mountains or the waterfalls, the humans especially. It made them look grand. It made them look scary. It made them look majestic even. And so I really appreciated that aspect of it. The action sequences are exciting. They're suspenseful to a point. I did think that they used the trope too many times of the dinosaur's teeth just barely missing, biting somebody. I think one time is great. I think by the time I got to the third almost bite, I was kind of like, again, it was taking me out of the story. But aside from that, I thought it was like a pretty good attempt in general. Some of my main critiques, first of all, let's start with the script. It really felt as if it was two separate scripts that were kind of Frankensteined into one. Because yes, you have the main storyline that I just articulated, with the group of mercenaries, getting DNA samples, and that. If they just kept it to that one storyline and then built off of that, a little bit more care and detail, I think it would have made for a really, really, really great movie. But they had to kind of add in this family that is marooned on the island, and so you have like these two things going on at the same time, which just didn't really work well. A couple of other things that really, really bothered me was just how the characters were. You didn't really care too much about what was going to happen. I mean, you only care about Scarlett Johansson's character and Mahershala Ali's character because you kind of know them and you don't want anything bad to happen to them. But as far as just the characters themselves, like investing in their journey, it's not there. You know, they try. There's this one scene between Johansson and Ali where they're talking about their respective backstories, and it feels like the second take. Like, yeah, I can imagine, like, as actors, after about 6 or 7 takes, you kind of get a groove of it. You get the feel for what the scene is supposed to unfold like, and how you can best interact with your scene partner. But it just felt as if, take two, okay, we'll use that one, done, you know? And so they didn't really get a chance to kind of maybe warm up. And you see that, it was like, Mahershala Ali is one of the best actors working right now. The man's got 2 Oscars. So the fact that he came across as just bland was unfortunate, because I'm a huge fan of his. I'm still kind of upset that he still hasn't got a chance to be Blade, but that's a separate issue. The other thing, and this has more to do with kind of reading up on everything that went on behind the scenes, and it's not anything dramatic or anything like that. It has more to do with like timing, because this movie was announced last January. Scarlett Johansson was cast in March, and it felt as if everything was rushed. Like if they had taken just a little bit more time to hammer out the script, a little bit more time in pre-production with Gareth Edwards, I think it would have made for I think that they could have used that time more efficiently and maximize the story and what the movie was eventually going to look like. And, because think about it, would this movie have really suffered, or have not had, would have had less people going to watch it if it came out in December, or maybe even next summer? If they just taken a little bit more time, I believe that it would have benefited the movie that much more. Now, having said that, if you look at the box office numbers, this movie is just running away with all the money. So all of my critiques is kind of a moot point. People are still enjoying this movie. They're still going out to see it in droves. And I feel good for Scarlett Johansson. I mean, she's headlining a huge moneymaker. Hopefully some extra money in her pocket. And, who knows? Let's see when the next one is going to come out. Anyways, what about you guys? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Smash that like button. Give me a follow. And I'll see you guys next time.